Hello there everyone, this is me Ethan here and welcome back to another film review, and in today's video I will be reviewing John Wick Chapter 4. As always, starting off with my expectations for the film, I only just recently watched the John Wick franchise. I watched the first two on HBO Max, loved both of them, and then I found this triple pack at Target for only 25 bucks, and then I watched the third one on there. I own the first three films now. I love these movies so much. I think they're the perfect example of style over substance. Love these movies now, so after having seen the first three films and preparing myself for the fourth one, I was now very excited for the fourth one. Throughout this franchise, every single film has built up in size and production and scale and budget and whatever sort of form you want to say. The world building expands even more, the action gets better with each film. Overall, these films only improve with each film, so obviously I was excited for this one. I, of course, love the characters that returned here once again. They're all just as good as they were in the previous three films, and they're all extremely entertaining every single time they're on screen. Keanu Reeves especially always gives his all into this role, and he has such a great physicality. I believe he said he did 90% of the stunts for this movie, and it shows. He really pulls it off, and he does a fantastic job, and this is maybe his best performance since the first one, in my opinion. The standouts in this film, though, are actually the newer characters for me. Kane, played by Donnie Yen, I thought was absolutely fantastic. He's part comedic relief, but he's also just an actual character with nuance and layers to him. You understand what he's doing and why he's doing it, but he's also fun to watch. His action scenes were so well choreographed, and once again, this actor plays a great blind man that just kicks butt. Shamir Anderson plays a newer character that's kind of tossed to the side, unfortunately. This is a very long movie, and unfortunately, even with its almost 3-hour runtime, it feels like his character is slightly underdeveloped, but overall, I enjoyed his character. I liked his dog, and he plays into the story enough to the point that I enjoyed him. Shimazu and Akira were in the film for, I'd say, like maybe the first third of the film, and then they're kind of out of the picture. I really enjoyed both of them, and I especially enjoyed the Osaka Continental. I thought that one was way cooler than the New York Continental, and they were great additions. Both got some great action scenes. And finally, Bill Skarsgård as the villain Marquise. I think that's how you say it right. This is one of the few villains who really just doesn't fight John Wick hardly at all physically. He's more of just a mental opponent for all of our characters, and I really enjoyed it, and he definitely has some menacing and pretty gruesome scenes here and there that I certainly really enjoyed, and he had a great villain presence throughout the film. The cinematography for this film is the best out of the entire franchise. I'd say it's up there with The Batman, which may offend some people, but I'm going to say it. It's up there with The Batman for best cinematography. I hope it gets an Oscar nomination for best cinematography or some sort of award because it looks beautiful. We go to Paris and we go to Japan in this film, or we go to France and we go to Japan in this film. And in both of those, oh, it looks so good. So many of the action scenes are set on these huge set pieces, and every single time it looks stunning on the big screen. I was obsessed with it. And by far one of the standout moments was during a fight scene where we're following John Wick, and then it eventually goes into a bird's eye view, and it looks like you're following him around through this maze-like corner where he's fighting all these bad guys, and it looks like you're following a character in a video game, almost like Zelda, where you get that overhead view of the character walking around and fighting all the bad guys. That's how it looked, but in the film, and it just blew me away. I didn't know how they did it. It's like one continuous shot throughout it all, and it looks amazing. And of course, we have to talk about the action. This is an action film, and I'd say this is the best action film or best American action film since John Wick Chapter 3, the best action film since RRR, but if we're just talking about American blockbusters, this is the best action film since John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. It somehow tops all the previous three films whenever it comes to choreography, how it's shot, the variety of it all, and it left me on the edge of my seat the entire time, the entire runtime. This franchise has movies that consist of pretty much 80% action, and that is still 100% true here. There's not a whole lot of dialogue. It is mainly just action, and some people may not like that considering it's almost 3 hours in length, and it could get repetitive for some people, but for me, I was having a blast, and it really didn't bother me. The thing I liked especially is that there's such a variety in action. You get sword fights, gun fights, hand-to-hand fights, people on fire, people falling from multiple stories of stairs, lots and lots of stairs. And there's even a fight which stands out big time, and it's just a fight in traffic in Paris, or at least I think it's in Paris. It may have been in Japan, but I think it was in Paris, where John Wick is fighting this one guy, and it's in full traffic. Guys are getting run over and shot and stuff, and it's insane. And the best part of all is almost all of these action scenes are one continuous shot. There's not that many cuts to it, and there's constantly things happening. And it's not just John Wick always fighting this one guy; he's always fighting two or three guys even. So he's over here and then he's behind and then he's over to the side. It's so dynamic, it's so continuous and fluid that it's just almost mesmerizing, I guess, and it's so well done. And Donnie Yen's character is blind, like his character in Rogue One. Once again, he plays some great blind characters who kick butt, and the way they choreograph him, his movement is completely different. The way he fights is completely different. So it just changes up the pace from what we've seen in the past John Wick films, where we see a different style of fighting, and the techniques that he uses just make sense, and it makes him so fun to watch. The final fight is also like 45 minutes long, which may bother some people, but once again, I loved it, and I think a lot of other people will love it too, just because there's so many different characters from different sides interacting, and their choices change the way this final act works in the last 45 minutes. And it also somewhat works emotionally as well, even though there's not a huge story to it. There is emotion for the characters. You understand why they're doing what they're doing, how they're doing it, and it just all makes sense and it flows perfectly. And I love the ending of this film. The main issue people are going to have here with the action is that you are going to have to suspend disbelief. John Wick gets shot multiple times, he gets stabbed multiple times, he gets run over by cars multiple times, he falls down multiple flights of stairs multiple times, he falls from far heights. And stuff like this happens back to back, and he just gets right back up and gets back to fighting. It's not realistic. It's never been realistic, even since the first film, I'd say. You have to suspend disbelief. Otherwise, you're just going to be pretty miserable watching it. And me personally, it's pretty easy for me to suspend disbelief considering how many superhero movies I watch. And this was basically a more grounded superhero movie, I guess you could call it. So I definitely enjoyed it. On to the story and pacing. As always with these films, there's not a whole lot of story, but I feel like this is the most focused one since the first. You know what John Wick is after. He's after the high table, and you know why these characters are in his way for personal reasons. You understand their motivations, why they're angry, why they're upset, and why they're in John Wick's way, and you understand why he's upset and what he's trying to get to. It's pretty plain and simple, and it's fun to follow. However, I will say though that most of the dialogue in this film isn't even from Keanu Reeves. It's from Bill Skarsgård, Ian McShane, Donnie Yen. A lot of the other characters, more the side characters, are more focused on the story than John Wick is. It's more of dialogue with these characters, and then you get to see John Wick fight him. And he doesn't really have a whole lot of talking scenes with them, which may be a slight nitpick of mine. I don't really know for sure because John Wick never really talks that much in these movies, but it didn't feel as much like his movie, considering he didn't feel as invested. He's just after the high table, and these people are just essentially bringing up a strategy and talking about John Wick throughout. But what I really liked is that there was a balance of it. There was a balance between the dialogue and the action. You get just enough dialogue to keep you intrigued, and then they give you a ton of action back to back that will have you laughing and excited and on the edge of your seat. Overall, I give John Wick Chapter 4 a 10 out of 10. Tom Cruise, you have got a lot of work to do if you want to be the best action film of this year, because this one was just fantastic. I absolutely loved it, even with my nitpicks. Just as an action blockbuster that you have to suspend disbelief with, I had an absolute blast with it. It was a joyride from start to finish. I was never bored. Unfortunately, I did have to go to the bathroom and I missed out on just a small chunk of it. But other than that, I had a great time at the theater today watching John Wick Chapter 4, and I would highly recommend it. So what did you think about John Wick Chapter 4 if you've seen it yet? I would love to hear any and all opinions in the comment section below. So if you all enjoyed this review and if you all enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will see you all in the next one. Bye and have a great day.